Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel and we're back at Auto Shack on the Caddy show car build. In the last episode you saw we got all the interior in, all the carpet, the battery and everything hidden under the seats in preparation for our retrimmed Porsche seats return. These were originally in the car when they came to us. I think they were cream half leather with Porsche logos down the middle, but the customer sent them away. He wanted them all retrimmed in the modern GTI tartan. The Caddy door cards were done to match, and as you've seen throughout this build, we've got a bit of a Porsche theme going. We've got the Porsche tombstone seats, we've got the Porsche wheels, the Porsche brake. So in this episode, we've got even more Porsche accessories. We've got a Porsche 944 steering wheel. We've got some Porsche door handles. We've also got some red seat belts to go in as well to match the tartan. So these will really finish off our Porsche Caddy. So they have done an amazing job on these Porsche tombstones. Still fully electric adjustment, but the retrim looks amazing. All perfect stitching around everywhere. The tartan looks amazing. So I'm very happy with them. What's not so amazing is, although I said they were in the car, the subframes were a little bit homemade. In fact, I think they were made at two different homes because they don't match. I don't know which one was made first, but neither were made particularly well. The underneath of this one isn't even welded on at the back, and all that's holding you on is that little bit of weld there. Looks like they panicked a bit with the structural and added a little bit of bop. Yeah, so overall, not satisfactory. This one is a bit better. It's made out of box. The bolts go all the way through. So I'm happy with this one. So I think we just need to match that to this one. Because the other thing is the seat belts are mounted to the seat, not to the floor. So if you do have a crash, you have not got anything holding you in. The other problem is the bolt hole for the runners is here and here, but the runners actually sit on here. So if you do that bolt up, that bends the runners in so they don't even run. So that is going to be the first job, to sort this mess out. Bit of fabrication, and then with that the seats should just bolt straight in. The steering wheel is out of a Porsche 944, which apparently in the VW Porsche era should go straight in on the splines, and that will replace that one, resulting in a much more classy interior. And then I think these are off a Lupo GTI, I think he said, but with the red and the black. If we take off that nut, they should go straight in. Also a retrimmed gear knob to go on, and we've got the Porsche door handles to go on. A really subtle little mod, and they do match up to the Mk1, so you can barely tell the difference, except for they have the Porsche logo embossed. So this should be a direct swap as well. So I think it's going to come to the point where we've got more Porsche bits on this than actual Caddy bits. Right, let's start off with this steering wheel to see if the internet was right. This has actually got a Sparco quick release on it. Take that off, undo the adapter. There's always one that rounds off, but we just need to get it out of the way. Nut off, make sure the spring doesn't hit you in the face. Does. Right, let's get this off, get it bolted on. A little bit of a size difference there. Strange, for some reason, the ring is earthing out when it goes in. So the horn button works by the ring here touches this tab here, and then the center is earthed here. So when you close the button, it connects that to that. Like that. But for some reason, when we're bolting it up, that is going to earth somewhere via this ring. I wondered whether it's these screws. So we might need a spacer or something, because this ring is bottoming out on these screws. So as we're going on, less than ideal. Right, let's try door handles. Nice and easy on our Mk1. It's got a little screw at the back, little screw on the front. Out they come. Mk1 Porsche, so you can see the ends go in a different way, but this bit looks the same. I think these have had a little mod because there's a bit grinded off here, so these did come out of a Mk1 already, so I think they've already been modded to fit. Let's swap in the gaskets over from the old ones, like that, and they should go in. So I'm going to whip these out again because we need to change the locks. Otherwise, the lock won't work. So it's just a little mod, barely noticeable, unless you know. Nice and easy. Undo that screw, take that off, put the key in, and then the lock just comes out. I've got to do the same with the Porsche lock, but we're not going to be able to put the key in. Hopefully it'll still come out. Yes. Random Porsche key out, a Caddy key in. Then we'll put the end back on. Now we have our Caddy key in the Porsche handles. And the Porsche ones just have the one bolt at the back, exactly the same. And there it is, all on. Nice and subtle. You'd only know if you know. So they work. And our original Caddy key. Perfect. Now we can get these door cards on. There's the door cards all on. Got the Kenwood speakers back in. So that's another bit complete. So I've just gone to try the red seat belts on, and we've got a few issues with them as well. So these have got the modern latch on, whereas the Caddy uses the old style, which means these don't latch in. These ones do. These ones not. The other problem, these must be on a bar like newer cars where it slides forwards and backwards, so they've just got a loop on the end, whereas these ones have a bolt-on bit. So what we maybe suggest to the customer is getting his trimmer to unstitch this, slide these off, slide them on, attach that, and have it re-sewn to get these cool red seat belts in. Right, so let's make this skinny girl the same as this thick girl. A little bit of a difference there. So I've just made up a little jig linking the 3 mounting points, so then I can cut these out and the 3 points will still stay in the same place. Now we're left with our 3 points still on the jig, and we've got our new frame to sit on top of that. Sit on there. There it is, all tacked on. Still on the jig at the minute. But we've got our 3 points. We've got our 4 holes. So last little test fit, and then we'll start bracing it up, getting the seat back in. Fits like a dream. So let's get this welded up. Well, that ain't going anywhere. They're all on nice under there. All the ends are on, so now we can take this brace off and I can put something properly in there. And then we can cut it back off the jig. So cut them off, and that should go straight in the car. And just cut it off the jig, and we are off. Just added some little gussets in the back. A little clean up and get it back in. It does amaze me the faith people put in stuff that is your actual anchor point in a crash. I've just found another old subframe that I had to redo. This was from the Auto Finesse Golf, and I'm not sure I'd want that as my anchor point, or even just braking, even inside. I think it was just add more weld and see what happens. But this is another one I had to redo. And there it is, all back in with our little jig. That's slotted all in the standard bolt holes back in nicely. So it goes in the factory sliders, still clears the amp, and gave that one a paint up as well, so that looks good. All looks nice from the outside. So let's get the seats in. That's one all in, fully bolted on its mounts for the last time. I popped down to Suffolk Fasteners and got some high tensile Allen key bolts. So they go in the runners. It's made it much easier. I've just been looking at this Porsche wheel again, where it's earthing out. So I taped up everywhere. And by process of elimination, I don't know if you can just see, but it's cutting through just there. So the bottom screw is where it's touching. Let's untape it and see how we can solve that. It's gone back underneath because someone suggested pushing the universal joint up a bit on the steering rack, and that should put the shaft further in the column that way. So I'll give that a tap up and see if that solves the problem. Well, that's definitely made it stick out further. So that whole universal joint must push that and govern where this is. Now, I'll put the wheel on. Ignition on. Oh, that's much better. You can see now we've actually got a gap between there. Winner, winner! Porsche wheel will go on. And all back on, and mustn't forget the earth strap for the rack because it's rubber insulated on the plastic bushes, so the horn won't work without that. So we've got that on. We've got our obsolete heat-proof boot back on. Let's get this wheel on. And there's one more quirky mod the customers asked us to look at, is the key. So this is the original VW one with the proper stamping. He has got an aftermarket replacement, and what he's asked is, can we take a screwdriver, take the bit out of the middle and put that onto there. So it'll look like there's a screwdriver in the ignition. We'll still keep this one as the original key, but as a shot to nothing, we're going to cut up this key and see what happens. So two options is cut all this plastic off, because I reckon that key goes in there a bit, and then weld it onto there. But I think that's going to stick out too long then. Other option is to heat up this, slide it out when the inside melt, heat up that, slide that in. So it is a shot to nothing. He said he's not worried if this key doesn't work again, but let's give it a go. It's worked. Right, so we'll trim this down and try and heat this up and stick that in there. Just drilled a couple of holes in it, hopefully get a little bit of squidge, heat this up. Straighten that up a bit. One screwdriver key. And let's test the screwdriver. In it goes, and it works. All run off a screwdriver. Yes, officer, it is my car. And I've just put the last few trims in. So all the lower trims are in, dashboard's on, steering wheel, got all the other door card on, got the Porsche handles on this side, and then carried on and put all the interior trims in. So seats are now in fully. Up in the glove box, we've got our clutch brake reservoir and the kill switch. So they're nicely tucked away in there. In the trim here, I've put in the OBD port, so any time it needs plugging in. That's nice and easy to get to. Got the center console all in. Put a little boost gauge, and I reckon that's where the airlift controller is going to be. I've just been playing around with a little 3D printer design. Got the new gear knob in and gator. Seats are all in. All the electrics are all wired up. And they all sit really nicely. Super comfy seats. Steering wheel is on, horn's working. The way I designed my subframe for the seat, it only took a couple of minutes to get it in. But the way this one designed is an absolute nightmare to get in and out. So I'm glad we have put the jump points in the bottom. But as you can see, they're nice and discreet. They're not going to get kicked. They're not going to be in the way. And then when you need to jump start, you've got the 2 points there to put your jump pack on. Nice and easy. We've got the bottle behind here, nice and easy to top up. Everything else working out really well. This is the little 3D design mount I found. So the plan is to put that kind of in there, and if I can make it with part of a 52mm gauge as well, and we get that recessed back in that hole, and then we can mount this in. This airlift badge does unbolt and go round, so you can put the orientation acrossways. So I think with that in there and the boost gauge, that's going to look really cool. So I'll do a bit more work on this mount to get it in there. And then when that's sitting flush and recessed in, the front of this will then be flat with that and look extra cool. And one last thing the owner wanted us to put in, he is a truck driver, and in his cab, he's got a little blowgun. So he wanted one connected up to the air tank in the back. So I've just got a little flexi coming through, that's on there, so that can come right out. give it all a blow out. And that little air line inside is run off the air ride install, and it's run off the tank. I've teed it in just before it goes into the manifold, so you can see that T-piece under there. So that just means it does go through the water trap first, so you're not blowing all that moisture in there. This is a really nice place to sit in here. These seats are so comfy with all the new foam and the full retrim. They're comfy, you're sitting in a nice position, and they look amazing. The steering wheel's on, we've solved that horn problem, door cards are all the little Porsche bits, we've got gaiters. Finally, inside here, it looks like a proper car, not just a grotty old shell. And with all those quirky bits, like having air on tap now, makes this one unique car. You can look around this 10 times and there's always something new to spot. So this is definitely one of one. So the only thing we didn't get done is those seat belts. We've had to send them away, and they'll put a new clasp on and get the bottom anchor point changed. And then we'll have the red seat belts in to match the red pinstriping. The other thing, this is actually a new dash because the old Caddy dash was pretty trash, and the heater blower switch is in the old one still, so we'll get that back. We've still got to try and source a speedo cable that connects the GTI clocks to the O2A gearbox. I'll carry on with the 3D design for the airlift controller, but overall, this just looks amazing. And the seat is actually fixed in securely now. We are well heading on our way to get it ready for an MOT, and then we can actually take it on the road for a proper drive. This has been nearly a year in the making, so after all this hard work, it's going to be nice to actually drive it. So we've still got a lot of episodes to come. We've got the air suspension set up because at the minute it is all just bolted on. Now I'm happy that it is all completely sealed. We can set up all the ride heights. I've got to do the tracking, the camber, get everything dialed in, get the watts linkage set up. So that'll be coming up in another episode. We've also got a bed cover from Caddy Covers to fit as well. That's been hanging around here since the beginning of the build, so it'll be good to finally get that on now the air suspension is all done. So if you're only just finding this episode, we have got a massive build list for this, so you can catch up on all the episodes in a full playlist, and we'll go through like a little series binge, and you'll be all ready for the next episode next week. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a bit of a dirty fabrication, it's been a bit of interior trims, it's been a bit of fault finding on the steering wheel. Make sure you give it a like. We have got all the Caddy Crew merch as well, so that's all down in the description. So I hope I'll see you in the next episode, but until then, make sure you have fun.